Hello, and welcome to Developmental Talent. Your ear holes are about to be crammed full of the most action-packed wrestling podcast on the entire fucking planet. And it's exclusively on freaksugar.com. Now, here are your hosts, hailing from parts unknown, Brandon Van Hook and Lemon Juice McGee.
Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of Developmental Talent. I'm Brandon Van Hook, and each week we'll be covering every aspect of wrestling fandom, including commentary on the latest episode of Monday Night Raw, indie promotions, exclusive interviews, and even action figures. Speaking of action figures, joining me as always is my co-host, Freak Sugar's own, Lemon Juice McGee. What's up, LJ?
Not a lot. Hey everybody, we appreciate you listening in. Our goal is to be a shining beacon in the massive, dark, and angry sea of wrestling podcast. Let's face it, there's a ton of these. What sets us apart, you might ask? Well, first off, quit being so goddamn cynical about everything. Second, we're a Freak Sugar exclusive program, and those monkeys just so happen to have access to high-quality production value, a secret email list that we'll be utilizing to score the best guests, plus they float beer money our way. All of our guest hosts also love the hell out of some wrestling, so this podcast is good to go. Enough with the jibber jabber. Let's get into our first segment.
The Figure 5.
Hey, and welcome to the Figure 5. This is a segment each week where we have a top 5 list. Sometimes funny, sometimes serious. We'll see how it goes. With me tonight is Brandon Van Hook.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And Matt Pierce.
Hey guys, today's Figure 5 is going to be the top 5 TNA X Division champions. This is purely speculative and opinion. Feel free to let us know what you think. But let's go ahead and get started with number 5, Jay Lethal, who's a 6-time champion. He has been champion for a total of 294 days. And the first time he won was in June 17th of 2007 at Slammiversary. He defeated Chris Sabin. Jay Lethal is a really good wrestler. A lot of time was spent as Black Machismo, the Randy Savage homage gimmick. He's just been most successful wherever he goes.
Yeah. I mean, I like Jay Lethal. I dig him in Ring of Honor. He's been TV champ for a while now. Always puts on a good show.
All right, well, next we got Samoa Joe, number 4. Samoa Joe was a 5-time X Division champion. He's been champion a total of 350 days. He won it the very first time in December of 2005 at Turning Point, defeating AJ Styles. Joe's just awesome. I mean, for a big dude, he can move. He's a lot quicker than he would give you the impression of. And people really get behind Samoa Joe.
Yeah, Joe's one of those people that WWE missed the boat on, I feel. I would have loved to have seen what he could have done in the ring with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk on a bigger stage. I really like Samoa Joe's in-ring work, but sadly I'm not a big fan of the place he chose to spend most of his career.
Well, yeah, but you got to go where the paycheck is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Samoa Joe is one of those guys that when you think X Division, you think small high flyers, you don't think Samoa Joe. But just like in Ring of Honor, he proved that he can pretty much adapt to any style and excel at it. Lately, looks like maybe he's kind of being a little lazy. But, at the time, definitely championship material.
And still on a good day, Joe's going to kill you.
Yes.
Up next, at number 3, we got the greatest man who ever lived, Austin Aries. 5-time champion. He's been champion for a total of 371 days. September 11th, 2011 was his first win at No Surrender, beating the Brian Kendrick. Aries was, like all these guys, just phenomenal talent. He was actually also the first guy to cash in the X Division title at Destination X for the World Heavyweight title and won it.
Yeah, from Bobby Roode.
Yep.
Bobby Roode. Well, the first time he won the X Division championship, before that, he dressed as Suicide Manic now. And then pulled the mask off at the end of the match, showing that he was the X Division champion. It's kind of sweet. A swerve out of TNA. Surprise, surprise. He's one of my personal favorite wrestlers. from Ring of Honor to TNA. I would have loved to seen him in WWE. Not that it's past time for that. Like, he could still possibly, but it seems like the window's kind of closing. But yeah, I'd love to see him face Daniel Bryan. Like, assuming either of them are in a WWE ring again.
Okay, at number 2, we have Chris Sabin, a record 8-time champion. He won it the very first time May 14 at a weekly pay-per-view, back when TNA was still doing those weekly Wednesday pay-per-views. He beat The Amazing Red and was champion for 433 days. Sabin's another solid guy. He's had success as a tag team wrestler, even cashing in the title to beat Bully Ray, became a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So, very, very solid guy.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Chris Sabin's and Alex Shelley's Motor City Machine Gun. Their run as tag team champions. They were a highlight for TNA for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they let him go. Like,
yeah, big loss.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, and he seemed like one of the guys that they could afford to have. I mean, however that sounds, I don't even care. No, but it seemed, you seem like you could keep Chris Sabin. Yeah. But and it seemed like he liked being there.
Yeah, so. And he's one of the guys that's not a big name, but you miss him.
Yeah.
And before we can get to number 1, let's do our honorable mention. Christopher Daniels, guy who was very, very solid in TNA, Ring of Honor, everywhere he goes. He's 4-time champion. He was champion for 280 days. Reason he's not on the list is because a lot of times he was champion as Suicide, which is a character that a lot of people played.
Yeah.
It wasn't the entirety of his championship reigns, but some of them were. But Daniels is very solid.
Oh, yeah. He picks it up full. Still going strong in Ring of Honor with Kazarian. And the dude loves comic books, so I like that.
Yeah, he seems like a guy you want to hang out with.
And then number 1, the phenomenal AJ Styles. Not only is he a 6-time champion, he's the very first X Division champion. His reign has a combined total of 272 days. He won the title June 19th, 2002 at the second ever weekly pay-per-view in the Impact Zone, I believe in Nashville. He defeated Low-Key, Jerry Lynn, and Psychosis in a 4-way match. And, I mean, what can you say about AJ Styles? He's
the phenomenal one.
Yeah. I mean, Ring of Honor champion, IWGP champion, TNA champion. I mean, he's pretty legit.
Yeah, and he, for years, was synonymous with the X Division. When you thought about X Division, it was AJ Styles.
Not only that, when you thought TNA, you thought AJ Styles.
Yeah.
He was the number 1 name you thought of when you said TNA. And as we talked about, some of these guys have been let go from TNA. He is the main one where you look at and say, I cannot believe that they, dropped the ball on this guy.
Yeah, in
my opinion.
Yeah, and when they lost AJ Styles, they lost a lot of their heart of what they were to begin with.
Yeah, and the big showing of that is that he went straight from TNA directly to Ring of Honor, to huge programs, and then now to Japan and back and forth, and doesn't skip a beat, doesn't miss, because he's phenomenal.
That's it, he's phenomenal.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was the best adjective for him.
Yeah.
It's good he's got it all over his gloves.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's this week's Top 5. Like we said before, feel free to email us and rag us out about what you think about your top 5 for this, TNA Top 5 X Division Champions. Or if you have a suggestion for a future Top 5, feel free to hit us up. And on to the next segment.
Welcome to The Next Big Thing.
It's a pretty good intro, right? Well, it sure as hell should be, because it's all for our segment about NXT. For those of you who don't know, NXT is WWE's developmental territory, and they have a weekly show on the WWE Network. And to be honest, it's some of WWE's best programming each week, hands down. If you haven't watched it, you should give it a shot. We watched the hell out of it. It's pretty fantastic. Lemon Juice McGee here with the fighting man, Matt Pierce, and we're going to talk about NXT. First up, their champion, Adrian Neville, we had the pleasure to see at a house show recently, in a surprise match with Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, and it being a surprise match, and they being what you would think would be lesser known guys for a house show audience, they were able to work the crowd. They were into it, and very good back and forth match. And then Adrian Neville hit the red arrow, which is his finish, and the crowd loved it.
Yes, people shit their pants. Maybe literally. We were mostly not sitting around people. We didn't have the best seats, but I'm sure there could have been some pants shitting, as it looks like he's going to break his neck every single time he does the move.
Yeah, the move just defies description. You got to see it to believe it. But it's really one of the only standout things about him for now. That and his athleticism. He mostly lets his actions speak for themselves in the ring.
Yeah, you can tell he moves a lot. As far as his on-the-mic skills, I feel like he doesn't have an overly specific character, which may hurt him in the long run as far as moving up. But at the same time, why move up? NXT's pretty great. I mean, right now it's currently kind of like WWE's old ECW. But if they were to travel that show around, it could be something.
It would rival, I think, the attendance at the Raw and SmackDown house shows. Is definitely a lot of times the second or third best show they put on. And a lot of weeks, it may even be the best show if you count their pay-per-views.
Yeah, especially with Raw lately. Yeah. Beyond Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn is one of the contenders for the belt recently.
He looks an awful lot like a guy I saw in the Indies a few years back.
Yeah, Mask. They could be brothers. They could not be brothers. It's tough to say. I feel like the crowds think they're the same guy. I feel like Sami Zayn would deny it.
Yeah, well, crowds are easily confused.
Yeah,
so who knows?
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a pretty generic mask.
Yeah.
But
Sami Zayn is like, if Adrian Neville's their champion, Sami Zayn is like the guy people want to see be their champion. I mean, people love him. Yeah.
He seems like he's having a great time. Dances out to the ring and always positive on the mic. Even when Cesaro's giving him shit.
Speaking of Cesaro, him and Cesaro had the match of the year. 203 falls, not just once, but twice. And from a development territory, whoever is.
Indeed. The NXT TakeOver shows were unbelievable because of those matches.
Yeah, you actually should go watch NXT right now.
You should.
Yeah.
After you listen to us, not during, because your web browser's not going to like the two different audio things going. Also in the title picture lately is Tyler Breeze, who is his gimmick is he is a male model.
And take selfies.
Sort of. I think really it's a lot of the phone pictures. Yes, that's really what he's pushing. But
in fuzzy boots, he's very fuzzy boots.
When he first came out, he did seem to be kind of like a throwaway. But he's proven that he can hang with anybody in the ring.
Well, he should be able to. He was trained by Lance Storm from Storm Wrestling Academy, so he's got the background. He just needs to showcase it. Yeah, and I think it's great. The gimmick's very much Fandango-esque, I guess, as far as just being kind of like this conceited character. Yeah, it's like an 80s thing almost, where like he is the gimmick, but he's really more than that. It just seems that way at first.
Yeah, very athletic. Great to see. Yeah. But also coming up new, NXT's been getting a lot of new blood lately, which is fantastic. Baron Corbin.
Not just your typical monster, I don't think. Even though he looks that way sort of at first.
And even though I think they're pushing his storyline that he might be an actual monster. Like, I don't know. Either he's a son of anarchy, or he's a werewolf, or he's both. I don't know.
I feel there's not enough werewolves in wrestling, so hopefully he is a werewolf.
But I know that he seems pretty imposing.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. But he's been coming out to some great stuff, mostly sort of squash matches, but they fit his character. Like, it seems like most of these guys are going to have a tough time going toe-to-toe with him.
Yeah. Think sort of like Rusev minus all the Russian stuff, plus ambiguous biker werewolf. That's sort of what you got with him.
Yeah. That is a good description. I'll give you that one. Also, recently coming up, finally, we've been waiting for a while, the former Kenta, Hideo Itami.
His stylish kick.
kick you in the face.
That's Justin Gabriel.
Justin Gabriel's swollen forehead.
Hideo Itami, man, he is explosive. I don't know if he's the future of the company, but he's definitely the right direction, I feel like.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's obviously working hard to work on his English, do American style. Like, it's great.
He's very appreciative, too. He's always thanking the fans for showing up and supporting him. He handled the name change well. He came out and explained it. Big things in the future for Hideo Itami.
Yeah. And speaking of guys who come up with a name change, the former Prince Devitt,
Finn Balor.
Yeah, who we saw on Instagram today, posted a pic, full body paint. We were worried he wasn't going to do this in NXT, or that maybe it would be for special occasions. Maybe it was. I'm thinking he did it. It was a house show, because I don't think they've been doing tapings. But it looked badass.
Guys, if you haven't seen Prince Devitt's paint, you need to go find that on just internet search engines, Google, whatever. This guy, not only is he very impressive in the ring, he has a very unique... The paint's just amazing.
Yep.
And he's awesome.
Yeah, and until then, it's been very Marvel Comics-centric with Punisher and Venom. He also did some DC. He dressed as Bane from Dark Knight Rises. But this paint was very much its own thing. Lots of black on white, like the Venom, but with airbrushed of spine and back muscles and things. So maybe something that they could market for action figures and for video games without having to worry about any type of copyright infringement.
Right. The picture mentioned Black Dove. Maybe that's what he's calling it. Maybe he has a pet Black Dove. I don't know. But it's very, very cool looking paint.
Yeah. Supposedly he's going to be debuting soon on the network, as they've recorded his debut already. Really, I'm looking forward to seeing him more than anybody in a while. So
yeah, he's something special.
Yeah. But NXT's also got a number of very good tag teams. One of my favorites right now is the Vaudevillains, made up of Simon Gotch and Aiden English, simply because of having possibly the greatest entrance in wrestling right now.
Old timey fisticuffs, man. That's what they got.
Yeah. Screen goes black and white. Play some old-timey music. They come out, act like strongmen, flip around.
Well, act like strongmen? I think they are strongmen.
Well, that's true, because they have been winning every match they've
been tearing it up.
Yeah. They almost won the tag tournament for the belts.
Yeah, they won finals of it.
Yeah. And beat out by the team of Sin Cara and Kalisto. Sin Cara coming down from WWE to apparently stay. They're the Lucha Dragons. They've got a team name. They're currently the NXT champs.
As JBL would say, I think this is a new Sin Cara. He seems to have found his spot, man. It's him and Kalisto are a very good team. I enjoy them a lot.
Yeah. They did great. Of course, they won the belts from the Ascension, who have been rumored for a while by everything on the internet to be moving up to WWE main roster. Well, as it turns out, recently I happened to see a picture of one of their stacked down block sets featuring the Ascension. And as far as I know, they're not doing NXT sets. So it seems like the Ascension are only going to come up, but I guess the plan is to keep their current gimmick. So loincloths for everybody.
Awesome. They have the look. They have the experience. They were tag champions for, I believe, well over a year. We're close to it. All they need is a chance to shine, and I believe they'll get that very soon.
Yeah. And on to another one of my favorite tag teams, Enzo and Big Cass.
They're not soft, that's for sure.
No. SAWFT.
That's right.
Yeah, Enzo has proven that he's almost unparalleled on the mic at NXT.
He is very exciting. He's very exciting to watch. Just his body language and his mannerisms, man.
Yeah, they're hilarious. The vignettes they've been cutting where they film on the phone, like, if those are one take, these guys are comedic masters.
They give them an Oscar. They've been feuding here and there. Nothing very major yet, but I feel like Enzo especially has a lot in his future. He's owning the gimmick. I mean,
yeah, they're fantastic.
Cheetah spots and all.
Yeah. But enough of the dudes for the time. Let's get into one of the strongest things that NXT has to offer, their women's division. I feel like the WWE main roster suffers from this quite a bit, simply because of the time they give them and some of the storylines. But NXT focuses on wrestling, and their female division are all very well versed.
Well, one of their first women's champions, Paige, won the Divas title while she was still the NXT Women's Champion. I mean, that should say volumes for the ability. You know?
That's true, and especially for the current NXT Women's Champ, Charlotte Flair.
She's got the pedigree, she has the ability, and, she's been backing it up with her in-ring performance. It's a pretty good package.
Yeah. And I think she actually just goes by Charlotte, but I'm going to say Charlotte Flair every time because, I mean, fuck, her dad's Ric Flair. Like, that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And her theme music is also pretty much his theme music with some techno beats.
That's true.
Speaking of theme music and entrances, we got Bayley and her waving inflatable flailing arm man.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way that Bayley can't get over with kids.
Bayley has an awesome entrance. She's good in the ring when she's not hugging people.
Yeah, giving out headbands.
Giving out headbands to all the little girls and whoever wants them in the front. And the Ultimate Warrior streamers, man. It's just Bayley all the way.
Yeah, she's just one of those positive attitude. Basically like Sami Zayn, except amped up just to the point of almost childlike
it's like Golly G.
wonder.
Yeah.
But it works for her character perfectly.
Yeah, it's a great character.
Yeah.
I mean,
her look, all of it's great.
To the point where I believe she really is that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's completely
and she has had some fantastic... She's come up short each time.
Yeah.
But her and Charlotte have had some fantastic matches.
I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I really do.
Beyond that, Charlotte's former friend, Sasha Banks...
BFF.
She's kind of been pushed to the back lately as far as storyline stuff goes. But this last week on NXT, she had a pretty big match against Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch is a newer addition to the roster. The match was great. I mean, there were a lot of false finishes. It's basically what you would expect a really good match to be, only just happened to involve Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. I mean, it speaks wonders. It speaks wonders to the depth of their roster and to the ability of their. It definitely was not a normal Total Divas match.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, all around NXT, an hour-long program, and you're not bored.
No.
The hour at all.
No, it could almost be 2 hours, I feel like. And their pay-per-views are.
Yeah.
They're quarterly, too, which I feel like helps out a lot.
It does. I feel like it allows time to build storylines longer. You're not pushing for a 4-week story with a payoff.
Yeah, it feels more relaxed, and it feels more like just a long show. It feels like the wrestlers are more relaxed in the ring.
Yeah, and it feels like when they're at the pay-per-view match, that those matches will end whatever storylines are going. Unlike now, where, hey, we're having a match at a pay-per-view. Well, you know what? We're going to have 4 more at the next 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah, as long as you watch WrestleMania, like SummerSlam and Survivor Series, you're pretty much good.
Yeah.
Rumble.
And I do like as well, NXT does not just pass the titles around.
No.
Their champions generally keep them for a long amount of time.
Well, Bo Dallas was the first NXT champion. He was champion for a long time.
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins was FCW champion, I thought.
We're going to have to look into this for sure.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
Immediately. Oh. I think Rollins was the first champ. And I think Dallas took it off him before he left.
I don't know.
Oh, we got to look it up. Look it up. Look it up right now on the phone.
On the phone.
You people are witnesses. Who's right? Lemon Juice says Rollins. Matt says Bo Dallas.
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe.
That's not helping him too much right now either.
Well, I mean, he ran into Mark Henry.
In the meantime, while you're looking that up on your phone,
okay.
I'm really excited to see Kevin Steen, one of my favorites from Ring of Honor, who has made his way to NXT, signed contract, about to debut. I think a big question is will he be named Kevin Steen?
I think he'd be named Steen Kevinson.
Steen Kevinson. There you go.
Like, yeah.
That does seem to be the WWE way of naming things. Daniel Bryan can tell you about that. I feel like there's the kill Steen kill chant that the WWE is not going to enjoy
looks like Lemon Juice was right. It was Seth Rollins.
Say that one more time.
Lemon Juice was correct. It was Seth Rollins. He was champion for 133 days.
Yeah.
That's what that goes to show you what believing does for you. Didn't help out Didn't help out for Bo. Didn't help out for Matt.
There you go.
But hey, at least we check our facts.
That's right.
Yeah.
On our phones, like pros. Yeah, the Feinstein fight chant. I think that's going to be great, and it's not going to go away.
No.
So you don't want to change the Steen part. Will he come out just as Steen?
Maybe.
They did it with Cesaro.
They did Batista too.
Yeah.
David Batista is just Batista.
Yeah.
So, maybe.
Could it just be Steen? I mean, it sounds odd because it sounds really close to Sting, especially with my southern twang. Yeah, I can't tell the two apart. Sting. I don't know.
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, neither one showed up yet, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe Kevin Steen will come out of the rafters.
With Sting paint, with scorpion paint on. I think Kevin Steen, or Steen Kevinson, or whatever they call him, he's very close to being ready for main roster.
Yeah, he's going to excel.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be a big deal. If you haven't seen Kevin Steen, go find matches, watch them.
Yeah.
Him,
awesome. Finn Balor, those two guys. I want to say Hideo Itami, but the English may be the only thing that holds him back a little longer.
But he's progressing on that.
That's true.
Yeah.
But these guys are ones that you might not get to see them for NXT for too long.
Right, yeah.
These are guys that they're going to want to pull up quick.
I feel like Hideo is going to basically give people almost concussions with his kicks. And so they might just throw him out in NXT so he can go kick Dean Ambrose. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, but I feel like all three of them, I feel like the future of the WWE is in very, very solid, capable hands with these guys.
True, assuming they can be trained correctly. There was news this week that Nick Dinsmore was released from NXT, one of the trainers.
That is true.
And, I mean, I don't know the guy personally, don't know much about him, but all of NXT's shows tell the tale that he knows how to train people.
Well, I mean, he's not called Mr. Wrestling because he thought it was a funny name.
Yeah. No, that was Eugene.
Eugene, yeah. Well, no, Eugene was, for what it was good.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. But it's sad to see someone like him, a solid guy who can pass his talents on to the future generations.
However, rumor is that Christian may be working his way down there to help out.
Christian would be good, and Regal's down there.
Yeah.
Regal's one of the best wrestlers there is. I mean,
Yeah. William Regal is the current general manager of NXT. So he's also in storyline purposes on the show as well, which is always good because it's just like Regal gets funnier as he gets older.
Yeah, and it's dry English humor, but it's good.
Yeah, it's like he just cares less and less about how he looks, so he'll just say whatever. He gives no shits at all.
Yeah, Regal. Well, everything in NXT. I mean, you got an announced team down there that doesn't work on Raw or SmackDown. Well, Renee Young.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really announce. She just
but she is a highlight on the announce team.
Yeah.
Her and Tensai, Jason
Matthews, I think.
You think? Fact check time.
See if I can be 0 for 0.
But yeah, the announce team is good. The overall quality of the show is well done. I mean, honestly, it sounds like we're just sucking at the teat of NXT, and it's kind of because we are. WWE has been kind of bad for the past month or so. You get highlights like Brock Lesnar almost murdering John Cena and Dean Ambrose coming out with a hot dog cart. But NXT really is a show about wrestling. And
we were both wrong.
Oh.
He is now Jason Albert.
Jason Albert.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But, I mean, who would have thought that he would have been one of those guys that you put behind the desk, and he's just as entertaining as Jason.
Yeah, his colored commentary is great,
yeah.
And he works off of Renee Young, fantastic.
Yeah, and
even though the entire shtick is like he's hitting on her, but it's it's actually tolerable.
and to be fair, it's Renee Young. I mean,
yeah.
But it's a development territory, but none of it seems like it's the Bush League, really. It's done at Full Sail University. It's always packed, always full. The crowd loves it. They're into it. It's got full pyrotechnics and entrances. You guys should really watch NXT if you aren't. It's a big deal, and these guys, you're gonna want to know who they are when they show up on Raw and SmackDown.
And while this has been a rundown, and granted, if you're listening to a wrestling podcast, you probably already watched this. There's going to be somebody who doesn't. Freak Sugar gets a lot of viewers, so somebody may have stumbled upon this while looking at an article about, I don't know, our Star Trek jewelry. But in the future, it will be more concentrated on actually what happens on the weekly shows and individual wrestlers and more stuff for the less casual fan.
Yeah, we still won't give a definitive match-by-match right now because you should be watching it yourself and find out what happens, but we definitely will be talking about the highlights of the show and what's going on.
For sure, and there's always a shitload of highlights. So that'll be it for our first next big thing.
Keeping it raw.
That's right, folks. This is the part of the show where we run down the past 3 hours of sports entertainment, which we just saw tonight. Opening the show, Ambrose comes out, cuts a promo, interrupted by Cena, interrupted by The Authority, which leads into an impromptu match with Goldust and Stardust versus Cena and Ambrose versus the Usos. Thoughts, guys?
An odd way to start the show. Odd in a good way. I mean, it's a great match to start things off with, but it seems like something they'd make for, the main event. Well, assuming it was Teddy Long running the show.
Yeah, it seemed like a SmackDown match.
Yeah, Teddy Long booking says this is the main event, but no, this is just the beginning of a weird night of Raw.
Yeah. Moving on to AJ and Layla versus Paige and Alicia Fox. AJ comes out on top in that one. Yeah,
they've got the whole thing where it's just she doesn't get along with anyone, so they're just cramming people with her each week, and then either she leaves them or she attacks them. I'm assuming until she runs through the entire roster, then they all start attacking her. I really don't know where they're going with it.
It seems like a way just to get anybody that's not involved in Total Divas onto the show.
I think it's a way to make time and keep the belt on AJ while keeping her feuding with Paige, which is pretty much her only option at this point. And, like you said, including the rest of the Divas who aren't Total Divas.
Yeah, now that you mention it, her and Paige have had a long Divas feud, like the longest Divas feud I can think of in the past little while. Then we are treated to an Eric Rowan promo. Thoughts, guys?
I love them. I love all of these Wyatt promos. I'm not sure if I love him being split apart from Bray. I understand it with Harper. Rowan, I feel like, is going to struggle a little more.
Yeah, Rowan's going to flounder. Eric Rowan is set free, and only in a matter of time before he is really set free from his contract.
Maybe he just spends the next 5 years on Superstars. Who knows?
He could be the Wyatt that people get to beat.
No, he could be the breakout Wyatt. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I think, everybody always put all their money on Luke Harper because he was the standout guy, but maybe we're wrong. We'll see. Moving on, we've got Orton versus Ziggler, with Orton for the win with a solid RKO off the powerbomb, which was totally sweet.
Yes, phenomenal. The RKO has become one of the best finishing moves the WWE has ever had.
Yeah, definitely.
It being a cutter, Diamond Dallas Page never remotely reached the heights that Orton has with this move.
No, absolutely not.
And, of course, Ziggler sold it like a champ, like he does every single week with everything.
Ziggler makes everyone look like $1 million, except for, ironically enough, Ziggler. It's just one of those things. He's the guy that makes everybody else look great.
Yeah.
Ziggler's still in my top 5 favorite on the roster, and, I still believe there's a lot of potential there. I don't think we'll ever see him with a world title around his waist again, but, I just don't want to see the guy misused. But, this was a great use of his talents tonight to put Randy Orton over and to make himself look like $1 million.
Yeah. And to put Rollins over, as he had to take the curb stomp.
Right.
That is true. And to start the little fracturing of the authority that seems to be happening now too between Orton and Rollins.
Yeah, a little competition between Rollins and Orton tonight, and we'll see where that leads later on down the road. I think we can all agree it's probably leading to an Orton split from the authority to where he's a baby face, but we'll see where that goes. That leads into Rollins versus Swagger with Rollins for the win. Not so much a great wrestling match, but Swagger put Rollins over pretty well here, and I don't know. I'm not digging Swagger as a babyface at all. It's just not clicking for me, especially with Zeb outside. Zeb as a babyface manager just doesn't make sense to me. We'll see where it goes from here on.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, guys?
I feel like without... so many thoughts.
I feel like Jack Swagger is a case of how the mighty have fallen. I mean, he's a world champion. He was a really good ECW champion. But between personal decisions and just...
2 years ago,
lost.
with the Alberto Del Rio feud, I think they were going to push Swagger very heavily until personal problems got into the way. It's sad, you're right, but, it's what happens.
Well,
at least the guy still has a job, right?
It's one of those deals, too, where without Rusev coming into the picture, Swagger had a purely xenophobic gimmick that everyone was against, and then suddenly is behind.
America!
And now, without Rusev, they're still behind it?
But he doesn't really have the gimmick anymore. It's just... He's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's just such an odd... let's just not even talk about Swagger anymore.
All American to me, damn it.
Let's talk about someone else.
Speaking of Rusev, now we're treated to a pay-per-view style match between Rusev and the Big Show. Rusev wins by DQ after Henry interferes. Guys?
I figured this match would wait until Hell in a Cell. In fact, I thought that there was this whole thing with Big Show being suspended until then, but maybe I was just wrong and it was storyline-wise just for a Raw. Henry coming down and helping beat on Rusev seems like a total heel move. These two giants kicking this dude like in front of his woman. It's ridiculous.
It really was, wasn't it?
My problem with the match was the pacing of the match. The first probably 5 minutes of the match up to even past the first commercial break, Big Show was destroying Rusev.
Yeah, we were treated to tomahawk chops.
Tomahawk chops by the Atlanta fans, yeah. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Rusev hits a dropkick and Big Show suddenly is beat, essentially. I feel like they'll fight again. I feel like there's a possibility that he might fight both Henry and Big Show. I don't know, but it looks like it might go that way.
Yeah, something's going to be done with these three in some kind of form or fashion. Maybe even a triple threat match where Big Show gets mad because Henry interfered in his match tonight. But we'll see as that goes down the road. Next, we have Sheamus versus The Miz. Miz wins by countout. I think the story of this match doesn't even involve anybody in the ring but Sandal's performance as a stunt double.
Yeah, Damien Mizdow is the reason that it's worth having The Miz on television.
I will tell you, this match had the crowd chanting, "We want Mizdow," not for Sheamus or for Miz, which goes to show you that he's taking this essentially throwaway comedy thing, and he's making it his own. He's doing awesome with it.
He's coming to his own with it. It's quite funny. It's probably the funniest thing on Raw now. So we'll see how long he can ride that wave. Next, we have the Total Divas: Nikki, Cameron, and Summer versus Brie, Natalya, and Naomi. Brie pins Nikki, which is kind of a surprise, but these are the Total Divas, so they have to get their own segment on Raw.
I think the most we're getting out of this is that the Bella Twins are still feuding, technically.
Yeah, kind of.
Maybe they'll fight in Hell in a Cell. Oh, if they would only fight in the actual cell.
Oh, that would be sweet,
that would be so wonderfully boring.
Yeah, I think this, kind of like Total Divas sometimes is just sort of filler.
Yeah, it was. I think Brie needs to pay a little more attention to her husband's, wrestling ability and his wrestling style if she wants to truly get over as one of the top babyface, women in wrestling, but we'll see where that goes.
Now, I will say Brie has gotten a lot better in the ring. Nikki's gotten
a
pretty
little
good in the ring,
bit,
too.
a little bit. I mean, not much, Nikki is kind of the equivalent to her man John Cena,
But at the same time,
she might not even know 5 moves. I don't know.
At the same time, though, you've got Natalya, who is a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah,
from the dungeon.
Who is still not overly popular.
Being buried, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And she's on Total Divas, so
It's true.
it's not necessarily an automatic win.
It's true, yeah.
All right, moving on. We have our main event, which was a match actually advertised as a main event for Hell in a Cell. Ambrose versus Cena, contract on a pole.
Yeah. Cole and Cena, and it seemed like everyone else tonight, kept saying that was supposed to be the main event at Hell in a Cell. But it was just the opening match.
Yeah, that's
The main event, as in how Triple H and Daniel Bryan were the main event for WrestleMania. Yeah,
exactly.
I get it. It's
Exactly.
poor marketing, whatever you want to call it. It was stupid.
maybe John Cena.
But the
was
match
maybe.
wasn't. The match seemed rushed to me. They were running out of time. It seemed like interference from Kane, Rollins, and Randy Orton, and we get Ambrose for the win.
Yeah.
And overall, like I say, probably since it was from Atlanta and we had pay-per-view matches for free and pole matches, this was the best episode of Monday Nitro I've seen in quite some time.
Plus, they definitely gave it a match that Ambrose could win, Cena doesn't have to get pinned, and it sets up him and Orton for Hell in a Cell.
I think we saw that coming when we got treated to the knowledge that this was going to be a contract on a pole match, that Dean was actually going to get the win on this.
Yeah, this was essentially, let's give Dean the contract as quickly and cleanly as we can.
And as painless as possible.
Not
it's
even do it on
ripping off a
pay-per-view.
Band-Aid.
But goddamn, him and Rollins in a cage is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
All right, and that concludes Keeping It Raw.
TNA Minute.
That's right. This is the part of the show where we give TNA 1 minute of coverage, because usually that's all they deserve. But lately, they've kind of been kicking some ass. Matt and I just watched the latest episode of Impact Wrestling, following out of their pay-per-view Bound for Glory. What'd you think about it, Matt?
I thought it was good. Very, very pleasant surprise. Tyrus showed up, the former Brothers Play. He's not a guy that I feel that's going to change the company, but he's a solid acquisition.
No dancing this time.
No dancing at all.
The main event was a four-way with Austin Aries, Eric Young, Jeff Hardy, and Bobby Roode, where Bobby Roode captured the number one contendership for the world title. It's a pretty outstanding match, really.
Yeah, great match. Great competitors.
A lot of good spots, a lot of coming out of the ring. Just kind of tremendous. I'm pleasantly surprised by Impact. And there you have it. That is the TNA Minute.
This week in wrestling history.
As you've probably guessed from the title, this is where we talk about things that have happened in the past in wrestling history. This week, let's kick things off with birthdays. October 12th, 1945, Dusty Rhodes, now 69 years old. October 13th, 1926, Killer Kowalski would have been 88. Happy birthday to Stacy Keibler, October 14th, 1979. And just incredible, 41 this year. Birthday's October 16th, 1973. On the opposite and sad end of that, there were also a few notable deaths this week. October 14th, 2009, Captain Lou Albano passed away at the age of 76. October 16th, 2003, Stu Hart, patriarch of the Hart family, passed away at 88. And lastly, October 19th, 2003, only 3 days after Stu Hart, Road Warrior Hawk passed away at the age of 46 after a heart attack.
I think Hawk and Stu both passing away. It's sort of the end of an era, because you got the whole Dungeon era with Stu and all the Hart Foundation, which they kind of broke up later on anyway. But you have that, and then with the Road Warriors, you got Hawk and Animal, and that's what they are, is Hawk and Animal. You can't have, Road Warrior Animal or Road Warrior Hawk. So, unfortunately, Hawk passing not only ended his career, but it, in a way, sort of closed the door on Road Warrior Animal's career, too, and also the door on a great tag team legacy.
Yeah, as a child of the 80s, the Road Warriors were the greatest tag team. Now, don't get me wrong, all three of them are Hall of Fame-worthy careers, but the Road Warriors set the benchmark for tag team wrestling that a tag team probably hasn't come close to since. If there was any tag team that ever came close, it was probably the Dudleys, but Hawk and Animal defined a decade of tag team wrestling.
Yeah, and they were synonymous with each other. They showed that you could be only a tag team and be just as popular as any singles competitor.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into events. October 16th, 1997, Bam Bam Bigelow won the ECW title from Shane Douglas. October 17th, 1999, at the first No Mercy pay-per-view, Chyna won the Intercontinental Belt from Jeff Jarrett.
That's pretty big because even though they had a women's division at the time, they had Sable and Jacqueline, Chyna never really competed with them. She pretty much fought dudes. She had to feud with Jarrett, first female Intercontinental Champion, and she later on go on to feud with Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho even. So.
The Chyna story is a sad one, and that's too bad because she broke down a lot of barriers for women in wrestling. You don't see the things that a woman can do back then as opposed to the things that women are allowed to do now. There is a big distance. Yeah. Women in wrestling, you will never see male and female contact like that again. It was just an interesting time.
October 14th, 2005, Ring of Honor held Enter the Dragon in Cleveland, Ohio. The main event was Bryan Danielson defeating Austin Aries in his first title defense for the Ring of Honor World title.
Danielson, that's the first defense he had of a very long reign. Basically cemented himself as one of the guys in wrestling, and it'd be amazing to see that match today.
Yeah, this match was ahead of its time. A lot of people would pay a lot of good money to see that match on a pay-per-view setting or on a big stage such as a WrestleMania, right now. And I can't wait for Daniel Bryan to get back into the ring.
Yeah, it's just too bad that Austin Aries is stuck in TNA. Well, that's it for this week in wrestling history. Hope you enjoyed.
Now it's time for you to grab a drink, gather around for fully articulated wrestling.
Lemon Juice McGee here, and this is the portion of the show where I get to talk about toys. Specifically action figures, even more specifically wrestling action figures. Who likes action figures? Well, I do. You do. Jesus does. Zack Ryder does. Everybody. This week's kind of short on news. The 21-1 Brock Lesnar Elite figure, it's a Toys R Us exclusive, is starting to hit shelves. Personally, I'm waiting till November, hoping that they'll do their yearly sale. It's like buy $20 in merchandise and get him free. Mostly because I don't want to buy yet another Brock Lesnar. It's not that it's a bad figure. Packaging looks awesome. It's just the same thing I've got repeatedly. The guy doesn't change it up a lot. If it came with the current heavyweight title, that'd be fantastic. But, it really doesn't fit the moment when the figure was supposed to be produced. I recently got the Amazon exclusive Mankind. One of my favorite figures of the year, easily. Right up there with Goldust and Bray Wyatt. You can check out the review currently on freaksugar.com. Just keep an eye out for that. There was also some news out of a Dallas Toy Fair that Wicked Cool Toys is releasing accessory sets for their real scale ring. One is a classic WrestleMania style with the big blue cage. We're talking turnbuckles, posts, aprons, steps, The whole 9 yards. Completely changes the look of the ring. In fact, I'm getting rid of my older Jack's WrestleMania ring simply because now I can switch between the classic and current with one, and saves me a lot of space. They're also producing a Extreme Rules / WrestleMania cage for the Real Skull ring, current edition. Still comes with new post and everything. Great. The ropes are red. It's all around fantastic sets. Wicked Cool Toys is really stepping it up. I know some of their staff worked with Jax at the time when they were on the WWE license, so everything from them so far has been quality. That's really it for this week. Sorry to keep it short, but, it's the first time, guys. Fucking give me a break. Later.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our first episode in the bag, and it's been a good one. But before we leave you tonight, we've got a couple of little news tidbits we're going to discuss with you. WWE adding advertisement to the network. What do you guys think?
I think it's okay. The email stated that they weren't going to be placed during shows. I'm totally fine with a 15-second commercial before I watch something. I mean, I'm already used to that on Hulu. And Hulu also takes breaks in the middle, so, I mean, this is okay. Especially if it gives them more financing money.
All right, yeah, I think it's fine. Basically, the whole price point of the network, like everything else in wrestling, has become a gimmick. And if they want to keep that gimmick, they're going to have to fund it somehow. So, yeah, ads are fine. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it as long as it doesn't become too excessive. And, I'm taking breaks in between matches to watch, 2 and 3 minute ads. And also, late breaking news, Justin Roberts has been future endeavored. He will no longer be with the company. He was WWE's ring announcer for several years, I should say. What you think about it?
I think everyone's surprised, but I'm not real happy about it. I mean, it's not. I mean, the reasons are rumored, and I'm not even going to get into that. But I mean, he seemed like a genuinely great guy. Plus, he would seem like a workhorse. Every live show I've been to, Justin Roberts does the ring announcing, rings the bell, holds the people's wardrobe, does the commercials, takes pictures with kids, kisses babies, and he seems like he genuinely loves wrestling. I'm disappointed by it.
Yeah, really. He could have been the Fink of this generation of wrestling, and now he's gone. It's going to be a very noticeable hole. Even if they fill in Lillian or whoever to come back in and fill that spot, Justin Roberts was kind of like one of us. So it's like we lost that. It's a shame.
Yeah, I believe we'll get more information on it as the weeks to come of the reasonings why he is no longer with the company. I always liked the guy. I mean, he put on solid work. Every live event I've been to, he was pretty much like LJ said, he was doing everything. So,
yeah, I mean,
he's going to be missed.
I mean, hopefully, I don't think he'll have much trouble landing on his feet. I mean, super talented guy and
super nice guy too.
But I don't even want him to land on his feet. I just want him to be back in WWE. Yeah, I just want him to give him his job back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right, well, that concludes our podcast for the evening. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening to Developmental Talent, but the show doesn't stop here. For more insane ramblings, be sure to check us out on social media. The links are conveniently listed in the text. Also, feel free to send your hatred, praise, and suggestions to Developmental Talent